All right, so we're actually getting pretty close to being done with this framework for API testing. So let's go ahead and continue on with this last helper method that we're going to need for now. And then after we get all this done, we can actually go into actually creating tests. And in my case, I'll be building around my API that I have locally. And you can use whatever API that you have that you're trying to work with and use. So let's go ahead and continue on with this. So first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually add a couple of comments just to keep this kind of clean here. So we'll say get an auth token for entire test execution. All right, so we've got that. And so let's go ahead and actually just copy and paste this a little bit because we're going to pretty much do the same thing here. Except this time it's going to be a RunTime Tools helper. So let's create a new file. It's called RunTime Tools.py. Won't put anything there just yet. And so this is going to be a little complicated. So this is going to be a object. So I have this in my notes here. So it's going to be PyTest RunTime Tools. And what this object is going to allow you to do is you can call any one of these methods in any of your tests. Normally in PyTest, you would like create another method here, right? And then you could basically call that method in your tests. But the way we have this set up, and I've had problems with this in the past, and the reason why I do this way instead is because the conf test is only good for this, I guess, this root directory. So for example, if we had our tests inside this folder as well, we could do that other way where we pass in like a method name to one of our tests that we'll create, and then it could just basically create that hook and grab that method and run that method from there. But the way we're doing this is you can run this from any folder anywhere, so the conf test doesn't exist within that context. So we have to use our global variables that we have set up with PyTest instead. So that's what this runtimes tool object will give us access to, is to use those methods for reusability. So let's go ahead and just get right into that. In this case, we're not going to be passing in anything, I don't believe, but let's just, let's call this runtime tools as our class method. Our exception will be unable to create, which I doubt this will happen, but who knows, create runtime tools instance. That should be good enough. And I think that's all we're going to need here. Let's change this a little bit. Get and auth tokens. So we're going to do create instance for runtime. RunTime Tools. Okay. Now that we have that, let's go ahead and create this class. So let's go into our runtimes tool file real quick. And let's import some stuff that we're going to need here. Maybe actually let's do that secondary. Let's see what we actually need here. So class runtime tools doesn't inherit anything. We are going to need to import random here. And I will show you exactly what we'll be doing with that. So we're going to do our init. That. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to do random.seed. And we're going to set, we're going to need time as well. Time.time is our seed. So whatever our time is, it's just going to be completely random. Time. So now we have a random seed generator in a sense. So say you wanted to, for example, here's a universal method. You wanted to have like a random sleep or something like that. So we can create a function real quick. We can do def get random sleep. And I know I'm actually doing this, I'm confusing coding styles here. So let me try and keep this consistent here. Confusing like C# and all that stuff here. So let's do get underscore random underscore sleep. That should be better. And maybe we need to change this too. Nope, I did that one correctly. Okay, there we go. So now we have, this is proper Python formatting. So we have get random sleep. We're not going to take anything except for self or this. If you're not familiar with Python, self is this. And what we're going to do is we're going to maybe take in, let's see here. Let's make it this customizable, actually. Now that I think about this, we could do like, let's set like a lower range by default. So it's going to be a float. And we'll just set it to like 0.1. And then maybe let's do an upper range. The float. Let's just do like 5 seconds. I mean, that's kind of a big jump, but this is default. So we have an upper range and a lower range, and we're going to be returning a float. So what we're going to do is we're going to return a random dot uniform in this case. And you can actually, it tells you exactly what it does. It gets a random number in the range of AB or AB depending on the rounding. So basically in this range or this range. So what we're going to do is we're going to pass in this case, lower range and upper range. So within this range, it will generate a random sleep value for us. I mean, this is random sleep. This could even be random value, whatever you want. I don't know if I'll be using these in my test, but you can definitely use this if you need it. So there's something you can do. Oh, here's another one. So one that actually might be very important. So in a lot of cases, in some applications, so like mine, if I wanted to, I'm just going to create this. This actually doesn't really have any effect on my my API right now. But in a lot of applications, they'll use like GUIDs and whatnot. Say you're trying to create like something and it requires a unique GUID. I don't know. We'll just put this in here, for example. So let's just do like, oh, I cannot type. Import UUID for our GUIDs. And then what we're going to do is in our init, let's create a self.random GUID list. And we'll set that to an empty array for now. And then so what we're going to do here is let's create a def get random GUID. This will only take in self. And so we're going to set GUID equal to nothing, or I guess empty string. And then we're going to do a while true. This isn't the best, but it will work. Say GUID is equal to an str version, so a string version of UUID.UUID4, I believe. Is that right? Yes, UUID4. And then we're going to do a check here. If GUID not in self.random GUID list, then we're going to append that value into that list. So I'm trying to think and talk at the same time here. So, and then what we're going to do is return that value. So basically what we're doing here is we're trying to get a unique GUID. I mean, the chances of you generating a non-unique GUID is very low to begin with, but just in case, I added a while true. We're generating a GUID, and if that GUID does not exist in the GUID list already, we're going to append it. And so basically, if it does exist, it's just going to while true until it gets one that isn't. And then, of course, we break, and we return the GUID. So now that we have that, let's think here. What else could we do? So in my application, I'm not going to be using any XML. We could add something in here, but I'm not too concerned about that, like an XML assertion instead of a JSON assertion. We could write a method for that because it's, XML's not really used as much today anymore as it used to be. But maybe we could do, like I was saying earlier with get auth token. So let's do this. Say you just wanted to generate another random auth token. Let's do get auth token. That's going to take self. And we're going to pass in actually the same exact thing here. So we're going to take in, just copy this. Boom, boom. Easy peasy. And so now we've got that. We can go ahead and import this method. So this will be from dot auth token, auth token helper, import get auth token. Perfect. So basically we're just, we're just calling that same method we've already created, just in case you ever needed to generate another token for your testing or whatever you're trying to do with this. So let's go ahead and finish this up. We'll do a return get auth token, and all we're gonna do is pass in our data here. Client secret equals client secret, and base URL equals base URL. So this is a pretty, pretty generic class here. We got a random sleep, we got a random GUID with a list that it can depend to, and a get auth token. I don't see anything else that I'm going to need for my application, but if you feel you need to add more stuff, just go ahead and add it into this method. And you just need to know, because you're not going to have like IntelliSense when you're actually writing the test. So you could use this, look at this as a reference and come back to it and be like, oh yeah, I have that method, or I can use this method. Or if you find something that like you're seeing that you're creating over and over and over again in each test, add it to this would be my recommendation, just to, not repeat yourself. The dry principle, don't repeat yourself. So try to keep it as clean as possible. And so with that, we need to come back here and we need to import it. RunTime Tools. I think that's all we need to do. So now we have auth token, and we have a RunTime Tools object property, or object. One more thing we need to do, which I almost forgot about, and I think this framework's done. We'll test it out when we actually, get a test and like a simple test, and we can validate everything's working properly. And before we go into the next section of actually creating the test for your API endpoint, we do need to set the path. Let's actually do that now. I was going to make a separate short for that, but let's just add it to this video. So basically we have our current time here, right? And what are we using that for again? We're going to actually set our config option HTML path. And so basically this is us saving our report with a unique name. So we're going to do os.get current working directory plus an os separator, and then plus reports, which we've created up here. And then we're going to do this just to keep it cleaner. So this little slash basically means continue on the next line. It doesn't break anything. os.sep plus reports, or report dash, let's do another one here. Maybe plus, keep this nice and clean, I guess, might as well. And this is, so it's going to be report dash str string typecast pytest .env at our env parameter, and let's set this to .upper, outside of this. So now it's going to be in uppercase instead of all lowercase for our report name. And then let's append maybe like a dash or something like that to kind of make it easier to read. And then we're going to pass in our current time. And then we're going to do one more thing, and that is append the .html extension. .html extension. And that should be it. So our framework should be all set up, all good to go now. I'm going to go through and actually clean some of this up. Let's go back here real quick. We can make this look a little bit better. So I might do that off screen. I might do or I'll just do it right now. Just make this a little cleaner here. And by the way I'm doing this, you don't know if you saw it, is Alt-Shift-F for formatting. That looks a little better. Yeah, we'll just keep it like that. But I think other than that, we are ready to go, and our next section will be creating some tests, and we can validate this framework and obviously fix some bugs and things we missed, because I'm sure there's probably something here we messed up, but or not, who knows. But yeah, we'll see you in the next section.